series of Russian fails. Missiles explode midair. Fire hits main drone factory. Oil tankers struck by Ukrainian drones. Ukraine and the US negotiating peace or rewarding aggression. European defense grows stronger as US scales back. So here's a plot twist for you. A Russian missile, one of their big ones, goes full-on drama queen and blows itself up mid-flight. And it just happened in Yasny, a small town in Russia's Orenburg region. UR-100N intercontinental ballistic missile, possibly carrying one of Russia's hypersonic avant-garde warheads, decided it was done playing nice. According to Militarny, which took a deep dive into the footage, the missile totally lost it in midair, and instead of reaching its target, it did the complete opposite. It exploded. The whole thing went down near Yasny's missile base, which, fun fact, is where Russia keeps some of its most powerful weapons, including nuclear-capable missiles. The massive orange cloud that followed suggests the missile was liquid-fueled, using nitrogen-containing compounds, and generously sharing them with the entire region. In a jaw-dropping display of military strategy, Russia's Admiral Essen frigate launched Kalibr missiles from the dock in Novorossiysk, and it didn't go well. At least one missile exploded mid-air, with debris falling onto the city's coastline. The Supernova Plus monitoring channel published video footage of the launches, showing the missiles being fired almost from the dock. The video authors noted that the ship, most likely the Admiral Essen frigate, didn't even leave the port, and the launches took place within the harbor. The report emphasized, after the launches, the frigate quickly returned to base under the cover of port structures and its own air defense. The video shows one of the missiles detonating shortly after launch, creating a bright flash in the air. People off-camera comment in surprise as the debris falls near the port. The situation is critical, and Russia is effectively deprived of its ability to conduct manned missions for the first time in over 60 years. This is what experts say on the failed launch of the Soyuz MS-28 spacecraft at the Baikonur Cosmodrome on November 27th. The damaged launch pad number 31 at Baikonur is essentially the only one from which Russia can send people into space. During a post-launch inspection, it was discovered that the gas stream from the first stage engine of the rocket detached a fragment of the launch complex. A major fire has broken out at a battery storage facility within Russia's Alabuga Special Economic Zone in Tatarstan, where Shahed drones are manufactured. Initially, the fire was said to have covered 1,000 square meters, but the affected area quickly expanded. Alabuga later confirmed the fire, stating that it occurred in the battery storage warehouse, but assured that there were no reported injuries or fatalities. The Alabuga Special Economic Zone is a significant hub for the production of Shahed drones, including the Shahed 136, which are used by Russian forces in the ongoing war. According to reports, Alabuga produced over 5,700 Shahed drones between January and September 2024, marking a dramatic increase in production compared to the same period the previous year. The drones are produced with technology transferred from Iran in 2022 and are marketed by Russia under the name Garin 2. Russia also plans to recruit around 12,000 North Korean workers to support operations at Alabuga. Ukrainian sea drones have struck two oil tankers, Kairos and Varat, near Turkey's coastline. Both vessels are included in UK and EU sanctions lists for their role in transporting Russian oil in violation of international sanctions imposed after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The first strike occurred on Friday, with Varat reportedly hit again on Saturday. A Ukrainian security service source said to the BBC that the tankers were empty and heading to Russia's Novorossiysk oil terminal at the time of the strikes. The source added, the SSU continues to take active steps to cut off Russia's financial capacity to wage war. Sea Baby drones disabled ships that could have transported nearly $70 million worth of oil, helping Russia bypass sanctions. Russian media quickly spun the strikes as terrorist attacks by the Ukrainian regime on peaceful Russian vessels. They portray these attacks as targeting civilian infrastructure. The focus is always on retaliation, rather than addressing why such strikes occur in the first place. Whether it's attacks on energy facilities, gas stations, post offices, or even furniture factories, Russia consistently frames its own aggressions as defensive. The result, the deaths of Ukrainian civilians continue. What would you say of a second army of the world? That would have said aloud, using the big mouthpiece of its commander-in-chief, that it's going to take a small city of just 35 square kilometers in a month, and then would shift the deadlines 3 times, and still wouldn't seize the city completely in a year. Yes, I'm talking about Russian army and the city of Pokrovsk. Some time ago, Vladimir Putin personally took part in a high-profile information and psychological operation when he addressed both foreign and Ukrainian journalists, claiming that they could come to Pokrovsk themselves and see that the city is completely pocketed and that 10,000 Ukrainian troops are surrounded. This statement was likely intended to trigger Trump's reaction, as Putin had previously used a similar claims about yet another 10,000 Ukrainian troops allegedly surrounded in the Kursk region, which indeed triggered Trump's reactions, as he retranslated that Putin's and tossed this further in many interviews, saying that he had personally asked Putin to release them, while later it turned out there were no Ukrainian troops surrounded. So Donald Trump was looking awkward by believing Putin. So then, when it came to Pokrovsk and another 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers trapped, Trump did not react to Putin's psychological operation at all. There were, of course, no journalists in Pokrovsk and no evidence whatsoever that Putin did not lie again. So the operation failed to have the Kremlin's desired impact. But why not to try again, right? Russia is once again setting deadlines for the capture of a city of Pokrovsk with just 7,000 residents, and that is before the war broken into it. Another, fourth deadline of Russians with a goal to seize Pokrovsk by December 15, 2025, and Kupiansk by the end of the year. In terms of American negotiations with Ukraine, absurd as it is, the U.S. is doing its best to pressure Ukraine towards such an agreement that would reward Russia by giving it that part of the Donbass region that it couldn't take over in 4 years. Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy to signal, sorry, for Russia will meet Putin soon to discuss details. What details exactly? Well, maybe Witkoff will open a map of Ukraine and ask Putin to choose parts of our territory as if that would be a menu in a restaurant. Maybe not, and our voice, the voice of Ukraine, will be heard. A ceasefire, an actual de facto frontline frozen. Maybe, to reward an aggressor for that he has killed hundreds of thousands of our fellow Ukrainians with more land. Unacceptable. In terms of these negotiations between Ukraine and the U.S., there is a nice meme floating around in Ukraine, originated by my military telegram channel, Major's Voice. The meme reads, "Americans are doing their best to surrender in a war they are not even fighting." And today, December 1st, Steve Witkoff, special representative of Donald Trump, arrives in Moscow for a meeting with Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. It remains unclear whether Jared Kushner will also travel to the Kremlin. The day before, Trump suggested that his son-in-law might join the trip. On November 26th, Trump had stated that the Moscow visit would take place the following week, but did not specify an exact date at that time. NATO held large-scale military exercises in Romania's Transylvania region, showcasing Europe's ability to defend itself with minimal U.S. involvement. This comes as the U.S. reduces its military presence in Europe, with troop levels in Romania cut from 1,700 to 1,000, and planned withdrawals from Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Hungary. Expert Yulia Zhozha noted that, for the first time in 70 years, Europeans no longer view U.S. security guarantees as reliable. The situation has been further complicated by growing ties between Washington and Moscow, with the White House threatening to cut military support for Kyiv. This has prompted Europe to prepare for self-defense along its eastern border. German Foreign Minister warned that Russia could launch an attack on a NATO member within 4 years. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas added that Russia is trying to spread fear among Europeans through rhetoric and showy military actions. Ukraine and Norway have launched a joint initiative for the production of Ukrainian drones. The agreement was signed by Ukraine's Minister of Defense, Dennis Schmihal, and his Norwegian counterpart, Tor Sandvik. The next phase will involve the launch of a pilot production line in 2026, with parallel efforts to expand production capacities. Ukraine will share its developments and innovations with Norway, and in return, Norway will provide a powerful production platform to supply Ukraine's military with advanced drones. Additionally, the cooperation will involve the development of research and design projects in collaboration with leading Norwegian institutions. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and don't miss our next update. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay informed. See you next time.